Hey everybody, Rob Endsley here from the Outdoor Line at 710 ESPN Seattle. It's Christmas time here. It's December 14th. We've got a week and a half till Christmas, and that means winter steelhead fishing, specifically hatchery steelhead fishing this time of year. Fishing's been good, getting them on the cowlets, getting them all over the place, the coast. And one of the techniques that's really ripping some steelhead right now, of course, is side drifting. Been around for a long time, and we all know how deadly effective it is. So I wanted to run through some of the things that I use here tackle-wise to get up set up for side drifting. This is one of my XMG 50 side drifting rods. This is a Lamiglas rod, and you can see it's got a carbon fiber handle on it and grip. I really like this. It's really nice to clean up, cleans up easily. And believe it or not, this grip actually, after you've held onto it for a while, is actually a little warmer than the cork grip. So I really like this setup. This is a 9.5 foot rod rated for 6 to 10 pound tests. This is actually just a little bit heavier than some of the side drifting rods, and I like this one because I do a lot of native steelhead fishing as well, and this will handle some of the bigger fish. And of course, this time of year you're also going to get into some of those 3 salt fish that can be 12 to maybe 18 pounds that are mixed in with these other hatchery fish. And I tell you what, if you don't have just a little bit of backbone, you're going to have your hands full with one of those larger steelhead. So I've got a Daiwa aired. This is a 2500 series reel. The nice thing about this reel, comes with 2 spools, okay? I put braid on one spool. I use that during salmon season. Then I take it off and I put my mono spool back on, and I put high vis 12-pound mono on there. The nice thing about the high vis, if you're side drifting out of a sled or a drift boat, you can see where your lines are, and that's real critical. You either want to be even with the boat, or more ideally, you want to be upstream of the boat just a little bit, okay? So 12-pound main line. A lot of guys will run 10-pound as well. I run 12, and actually, my good friend John Koenig up on the Skagit River got me running 12 years ago. He said, you know what? It works just as good as 10-pound, and you're going to get more of your leads back because you're going to be snagging a lot. Let's face it, you're going to be losing a lot of gear doing this thing because you're dragging the bottom, okay? Then we're going to go down. This is just a regular old snap swivel, okay? And the thing about this, let me get this unhooked here. The thing you want to do here, this is a size 7 snap swivel, okay? You want to run the lead off the top of it, and you want the bottom of the swivel to be tied to your leader, because this thing's going to be spinning around out there in the current, especially when you're reeling in. And if you have the lead on the bottom, that's not going to allow that swivel to spin, and you're going to get some twist up action here. And then on our lead, this is a 2 inch of 3/16 solid core lead, and you're going to punch this out, okay? And have a hole in the top of it. You're going to have a little tackle box like this full of a bunch of different leads from 1 inch all the way up to maybe 3 inches. 1.5 inches to 2.5 inches are going to be the ones you use the most. But you want a bunch of different leads so that when the water conditions are different, you can switch your lead out and still be tapping bottom. You don't want to really be dragging the bottom. You just want to be drifting along, tapping every 3 to 5 feet or so. You're going to punch that lead out with your little pliers here with the punch tool in the end, and get yourself a box like this. I've got a couple of these boxes. This box here, I've got 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2.5 inch, 2 inch, 2.5 inch leads, a bunch of different sizes here, and I got a couple of these different boxes that I can throw in the sled or in the drift boat with those leads in them. Now let's talk about the terminal end of things here. You know, fishing eggs has long been the standard with side drifting. Little cluster eggs, double hook rig, a couple of size 4 hooks, a little size 10 corky in the middle has been the standard in side drifting, but nowadays a lot of guys are running yarnies. Okay, this is 10-pound test. This is about 3 to 4 feet a leader here. Guys will run, I like to run a little bit shorter leader, but guys will run up to maybe a 5-foot leader to just a size 2 hook and just a little yarny. These are so easy to tie. I could probably do a video on this for you coming up here, but I tell you what, if you go on YouTube, there's a ton of videos on how to tie these things. This is a multicolored yarny. This has got some peach, some cerise, a little bit of pink in it, a little bit of orange. Some of the guys will tie chartreuse, a little bit of blue in here. Nice thing about this, you can tie it any which way you want with a bunch of different colors. A lot of times the purples and blues work a little better out on the coast. But the main thing with this, the steelhead come up, they bite onto this, it gets stuck in their teeth, they can't get it out of their mouth. This yarn nowadays, this glow bug yarn, comes in UV, a lot of different colors, but the main thing, you'll notice when you're tying these things, you get it stuck on your fingers. I mean, if you got any kind of skin hanging off, any kind of rough edges on your hands. You'll notice this stuff's getting hung up on your hands even. Well, guess what? When it gets in their mouth, they can't get it out of their mouth. That's why when you get a bite on one of these yarnies, it's usually pretty ferocious, because now they got it in their mouth, they can't get it out, they freak out, off they go, and you hook them, okay? One of the main things you want to make sure you're running a small enough hook to where if you run a really heavy hook with this, it's going to draw, the weight of that hook is going to make this thing fall down into the rocks. So you want to run, usually a size 2 hook is pretty average for a yarnie. That way it's light enough to where this thing will float up a little bit out of the rocks. And there you have it. I mean, that's your basic side drifting setup. When you hit the river, you want to have enough gear tied up so you can get back in the water pretty quick. I've got a ton of these Mustad leader rolls pre-tied. Of course, they quit making these actually a couple years ago. I got a bunch of them stockpiled. But Bomac, thankfully, is making these things now. You can get the Bomac pre-tied leaders all over the place. Most of the tackle shops carry them. And if you're tying up yarnies, tie them on a roll as well. I got a bunch of these pre-tied in a bunch of different colors. I'll bring 3 or 4 different rolls out with me when I hit the river. And so I got some choices. You know, sometimes the chartreuse, sometimes the more peachy colors work well. But take a bunch of this to the river, and don't be afraid to use this on the coast too. I mean, nice thing about these yarnies, you can tie them a little bit bigger, then you can trim them down. I mean, there's times when you're running yarnies the size of your pinky little fingernail, just a tiny little yarnie, really low clear water, they'll jump all over that. So there you go. There's a couple things to look for. There's a couple ways to rig up your side drifting gear to where you'll go out and catch some fish this time of year. Go get some steelhead, post your pictures on the outdoorline.com forums. We'd love to see your photos. Merry Christmas to you, and thanks for watching this last cast video here on the outdoorline.com.